welcome, and thank you for joining us in our cultural awareness video series. I'm a parent coach and life coach in my business, and I'm working a lot with international families. And I'm helping a lot of them understand the American culture, get acclimated more easily, helping with the kids and all of that. But what I discovered is that while I'm helping them get more understanding of the American culture, we all need to get more understanding about other cultures.
Yeah.
And that's why I started this video series. So if you can share with us 3 things that you want us to know about your culture, that will be great.
Yeah. Thank you, Danette. My name's Ting Li. So I originally came from China. So I think there's a lot of things about my country. I would say it's a country have a long history, 1,000 years of history. I'm really proud of it. And you can see my virtual background is from the Forbidden City, one of my favorite places to visit every year. The other thing I want to say about, although we have a long history, we're also a modern country. A lot of cities have a high, super modernized culture, I would say. We are not just stuck in the ancient times. And the third thing I would say would be we are very inclusive. So we're not just saying we're the greatest, but we want to get other people included. We're wanting white people to the country, and we want to share what we have.
I love the background, that's for sure. What is the traditional food in your country?
Well, I would say it's a difficult question because we have a lot of traditional food. I would say in China, it's hard to find one food to represent the whole country. I think there are 8 big categories, depends on where you are. And also there are big differences between North and the South. Also in different holidays, we're using different, I would say, portion of food to celebrate. I think the most famous one or well-known one would be the dumpling, right? So it's a well-known one. It's like Spring Festival. People eat dumplings. It's have a lot of good meanings. And also, I will point out a noodle is another common food in China. It's not only daily life, but also if you are celebrating your birthday, noodle is one of the good choice because that depends on noodle is super long. So that means you have a long, long life.
Long life. Oh, I love it. That's a beautiful one. That's great. Do you have something that culturally you cannot eat, or it's not unacceptable?
I would say it really depends on the regions. Some regions people prefer to eat in this portion of food or choices. Other regions may prefer have a wider range. So for myself, personally, I don't eat snake or frog or those, but there might be other regions people eat it.
How do you greet people in your country?
I would say there's a lot of ways. There are traditional ways and there are modern ways. So if you're just greeting, your best friends, I think that is similar to what we do in America, like just say hi, wave, say hi. But if you're grading with your like elders, parents, grandparents, or people senior than you, I would say shake hands. But you need to like a little bit bow, so to show your respect instead of doing this. You need to show because you are younger than them. And also there are some good buddies, but it's only limited to female to female. Male to male is like hug. Most they will be close friends. I would say that's the normal way. But if during Spring Festival, if people are grading, there might be some traditional ways of doing this, like with a ball. It's like a very traditional Chinese grading way. And also with this special period, people keeping social distance. So there are a lot of people start using this old-fashioned way practice of doing the waving or grading this way. You keep the social distance and you show respect.
Yeah, going back to traditional.
Yeah.
Is it polite in China to be direct when you're talking to someone and to say what you think?
I will say in most case, it's not that direct. When we see something, this is bad, this is wrong, normally we will not just say, hey, you just do it wrong. That will be, embarrassing time for both of people. So we always point out, yeah, if you could do a little bit better or do it that way, I think that would be much better. Instead of saying this is totally wrong, this is totally bad. Even you're saying, there it's reflected a lot of areas. And pointing out something's good, pointing out something's bad. People just work around and they try to say it in a workaround way instead of directly tell you, no, this is not okay, or show I really like you. So it's hard for people to say I really like you, or people are just say, well, I want to spend time with you, or just poking around, not say that directly. That's
And that's basically that's the way I see things here in America. So there is a similarity between China and America in the way they are pointing out that something is wrong,
Yeah.
as you said.
Yeah.
But what are the differences between the American culture and China? Things that you notice?
I think there are some, for example, like when I see I'm really good at something or show off something, for traditional Chinese or when I was educated, I was born in 90s. So, and no, 80s, I wish. But when I grew up, my parents just educated me, you needed to be, you cannot just bluffing. If you know something, there are always a lot of things you don't know. So you needed to be humble. You cannot say you're good at everything. You can say, I just know a little bit of everything. You cannot show I'm the best. No one is the best. You need to keep working. But while I moved here, it's like a lot of parents encourage kids, you're the best or greatest. You should show off and tell how good you are. Even you're just to draw a line or not a masterpiece, but you feels like you're drawing masterpiece. So that's I think there's two different cultures. In China, it's more like humbled. I don't want to see I'm the best, but in US, encourage people to show off, to tell people what you can do, encourage people to do that. I think that's one of the things I see different. There's other things in China. It's like when my elders or my relatives, who's maybe auntie or uncle, they would just ask you, when are you guys going to get married? When are you going to have kids? And you go to a big company, what's the salary? They don't see this as rude. They see this, I care about you. I care about when you're going to get married. So we're like, we're not taking that so rude and brag. Let's say, okay, we're going to do blah, blah, blah. But people making joke of it. It's not like it's my personal information. I don't want to share you. And also sometimes people ask you, you since gain weight, like, so it's different. There's some privacy things that say different between China and the US.
So I have to say that before I arrived to United States, I didn't know anything about China and about the Chinese people. And while I'm here, I'm discovering that you are a very warm culture,
mm-hmm.
a very family culture.
Yeah.
And you don't see that outside. A lot of people that are not familiar with the Chinese culture or don't have any Chinese friends, they don't know how warm you are. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I think it's from our culture. We don't show a lot of warm, or we don't show our are until I'm your friend. I really know who you are. It seems like for example, if you're walking on the street, right? I think give me a big impression would be when I first visit to Seattle for a company meeting. When I walk on the street, I see people, sometimes they say hi. Like, we're strangers, don't know that person. They will just pass by, maybe you just do a 1 second eye contact. They just say hi. And when I, walk through some places, people just say, "How are you?" I was like, "Who are those people? I don't know them, right? They're strangers. Why they say hi?" I don't know how to react because in China, we're walking on the street. We just walk. We're strangers. Why I say hi to a stranger, right? But if we're close people, yeah, of course, right? So that kind of things like culture, different things, I would say, right? So, but I mean, in China, there's a lot of things about family. You needed to be proud of family, needed to show respect to your family. Everything is about family. You cannot do bad things because that shame your whole family. You carry the family name. You should help each other. You should be warm to each other. But outside, people tend to be, I don't want to care too much your business because just that's your family. Why I show, say hi and smile to somebody I don't know, people will feel that guy is strange, that people is strange. What's your expectation for me? Are you intend to get something from me, or why you're doing that? So I think that's yeah, that's why it feels like until you know that person or you have friends from China, this, and you can feel the warm. They really welcome people. But if you don't know them, it's like they don't just come from and saying, "Hey, come here," because they don't want you to misunderstand, saying they want to sell you something. They want to get something from you. Yeah.
So you need to gain trust in people in order to show who you really are.
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah, I think so.
So how do you express disappointment and anger in your country, in your culture?
I see for a lot of, for our culture, we're not trying to, fight for a lot of things. We're trying to be, okay, if I really hate it, I like, okay, I just don't talk to you. I just don't want to deal with you anymore. I show you my face and that I walk away. So I see a lot of, at least maybe for women, for me, I would prefer to do that until you really push me to a corner, right? Otherwise, I just like, okay, I know who you are, or I know this happened. I'm not happy. I just walk away. I let you know I'm not happy. That's it.
So you will not confront the person.
Yeah.
And what about the kids to their parents?
I think the kids, what we are educating our kids would be, you needed to listen to your parents, because, one of the things would be parents always have a lot of, wise experiences. Parents won't want to harm you. They want to show you the best, right? So you need always listen to your parents. If you don't listen, that is not a polite way to do so. And so that is the family I was raised up. So even my parents saying, blame me or saying I'm doing something wrong, I really need to listen to them. I cannot just slap the door and say, no, you don't understand me. No, that is not a way. That's a way will be unacceptable at all. So whenever you grow up, and when when people, even when I was this age, or my mom even listened to my grandma, because that is show the respect, because you're a senior, I'll listen to you. What you do, there's an old saying in China of like, you needed to be, if you want to be good to your parents, show how deep you love them, you respect what they're saying. You'll always listen. Even they're saying something wrong, you can have your opinion inside, but say, yes, okay, I hear you. I know what you were trying to say. Instead of, no, I get it. No, that is no. If you want to, a good attitude saying, yes, I understand. I know it's all for my good. And I take your opinion. Maybe I'm doing something different, but yes, I listen.
So is it something that you feel people are bringing here to their, when they're raising their kids in America?
That's a good question, because I see people are changing. There are people like me. I'm trying to, my daughter was born here, so, but she loves Chinese culture. She speaks fluent Chinese. She write Chinese characters. We go back to visit China every year because I want to know where her originally come from. That's the blood she carry on. Whenever nationality, that's nationality, right? It's not the blood, the bone that you have. I want to know, let her know where she come from. And I really get benefit of this, listen to the parents, set a harmony environment between the family members. That's why I insist to carry this culture. But I do understand there might be some challenges. So I give her 2 ways of education. I let her know what our cultures, traditions are, and let her know what is outside. So you try to find out a balanced way. But I do see some of my friends or the people or other parents, they're trying to really get adapted to the US culture, let the kids do a lot of things. They don't concern about if the kids don't listen to them. They say this is very, have their personality. They need to encourage. I would say there's no good or bad or right or wrong. It really depends. If that works for your family, go for it, right? I just that's for myself, my opinion. I appreciate what we had for 7 years of tradition. I see that works, and I wanted to, just keep on going to my daughter.
That's beautiful, how you're trying to merge them. And what happened is that your daughter is creating a third culture. She's creating a culture, a merged culture of the Chinese and the American culture together in her.
Yeah, and I want to give her the choice or the thing that I know. Here is what we do in China. Here's what you do in America. Maybe when you're dealing with America, with your friends in America, you do it in that way. But when you come back to China, do the China way. So that way you will find, you understand both cultures. That's why you understand why there are misunderstandings, why people are not happy about each other, why there are fights, why they have different opinions. So you can make your own judgments. You're not just to listen to, this is right, or this is totally wrong. You have your own judgments.
What are the misconceptions about the Chinese?
Yeah, I think there are some. It's, for example, like the food. It's not like all the Chinese people eat frogs, eat snake, eat weird things. Right? So it's not us eat everything. No, that is not true. The second thing I see here is when you're doing, I see a lot of, misunderstanding, mixed culture of Chinese culture, Japanese culture, or Korean culture. When wearing traditional costumes, some people may say, this is from Japan. This is maybe Korea. But China have a lot of dynasties. Different dynasties have different, costume to wear. So that is when I try to bring that to I leverage Halloween to wear those costumes. But a lot of times I was identified as either from Japan or from Korea, but I say, no, that's from China. So there's a lot of dynasties and there's a lot of, dressing styles, but they are all belongs to China.
Does it bother you if someone is coming and say, oh, are you from Japan? Or they even assume that you're from Japan or from Korea?
I think that's okay. I just correct them. No, I'm from China. And I just leverage the chance to give them a small education. Why this, clothes are from China, what's it different from Japan? And most of the time people really appreciate that. Because I just try to switch position, right? When I am saying, maybe there's a lot of people from Europe that I don't know. I'm saying, hey, I really like the Russian dress, but they're saying, no, I'm from German. So I would prefer or like people to explain to me what's the difference, right? So it's hard for me to figure out, which nationality are you from? So I can say how easily for them to mess up the people from different country. We're all Asia, look similar, right?
Yeah, that's true. So when did you move to United States?
Oh, that's all 2008.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time.
And do you remember any specific challenges that you had when you moved to the area?
Yeah, I think when I moved to the area, the challenges I have would be the different systems. In China, everything's taken care of by those accountants. We don't need to worry about tax, IRS, tax report. No, we don't do that. But here, you need to worry about those. Sometimes you need to handle that yourself. And when you go to financial, it's another big challenge for us because we never know. financial is really a difficult thing. I think that's just different. So I mean, those little things on a daily life, because we're in a different system to manage all those daily life. Even like how come I pay my bills in China? Everything is paid online or use WeChat. We can pay through app. But here you need to get mail. Mail in. You write a check. I never read a check before I came to US. Like no check in China. Check is for a company. It's very, limited. Nobody using it in a personal life. But here I'm using a check. In China, if you have a credit card, if you want to bump your threshold, you need to really exhaust it. Every dollar, every penny of that accounts. That means you need more money because if you give me 2,000 limitations, that's too small. I spent 3,000. I spent 2,000 in 1 week. So that time the bank will call you and say, hey, I see you spend a lot. You bump your level. So that's a good thing. But in US, if you want to save your credit, you cannot just go like that. Like I use all 2,000 and then wait for the last day to pay it off. That will be treated like, hey, you're bankrupt. You don't have money. You have to borrow from bank. And you get your credit or damaged. So that is a big lesson that I learned. And I really give that lesson to a lot of my new friends come here when they have problems to try to, grow their credit score.
How long did it take you to find friends that are not Chinese?
I would say because I work in a company, so I got a lot of. It's lucky for me that there's a lot of colleagues. So I found my colleagues. They're some really good. So we keep good relationship even after work hours. We go to nail polish together, have fun, play dates with kids, and there are some activities I try to adapt to this culture. Because I don't want to go isolated. I want to live here. So I outreach for different interest groups. Before I have kids, I love dancing. So I search for dancing groups and then I join those dancing groups. But to be honest, the first time when I join in, it's really need a lot of courage because I have limited vocabularies on dancing world. And it seems like they all know each other. I'm the only one who don't know. Needed to catch up on their styles. There are some contacts they are talking before. There are some chit chat terms. I don't have contacts, so need to catch up. But I feel it's challenge. But after I take those challenges, I start making friends. So not only for dancings, but also for after this, their birthday parties, their celebrations, we get invited to the friend's house.
That's really great. People from China a lot of time have an American name, right?
Yeah.
So are they doing it officially or it's just to help American pronounce their name?
I think if the migrations, for the first generations, right, who migrate from China to US, it's more like for people to call their name because for some pronunciation, it's really hard for people to pronounce it. We don't want to give people a hard time.
Can you give us an example?
Like my husband's name. His name is Wengang. So it's so hard for a lot of people to spell the whole name. And then I would say, why don't you just choose the English name so people can just call you correctly? But that is something only on maybe resume, only for people to call him, email, but not on those official documents. Official documents, she is do that name. But for other friends who have kids, who was born here, I think they want to get their kids recognized or is make the other friends easier. So they just give their kids an English name. So that happens to some of my friends. But for my daughter, I leverage I leverage my co-workers' resources because I used to work in a localization team. All my co-workers coming from different parts of the different countries, different regions from the worldwide. So I just listed her Chinese name pronunciation, asked them to pronounce it. Give a thumb up, like, okay, I'll pick the name.
So what is her name?
Her name is Jing Yan.
Yes, we can pronounce it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ting Li, for sharing about China.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak so.
I enjoyed talking to you.